Hello everyone, my name's Lanny with LTV Farms, and hopefully you've seen our farming videos on YouTube and hopefully you have subscribed. If not, then after the video, why don't you go on over there and check it out. All right, so what we're doing here today, those of you that may be familiar with this, you're saying farming channel, well, this don't look like farming. Well, no, it isn't. And what we're doing here today is my wife and I, we operate a small sheep farm of around 85 to 100 ewes, depending on what time of year, what year. That's a long story. But anyway, we have been doing this for several years. And it seems like over the last 3 to 4 years, there have been a whole lot of interest in raising sheep. All right. So I get questions almost daily about raising sheep. And I thought, well, I already have the YouTube channel. So why not do some videos and post them on the YouTube channel for your benefit if you would like. So that's what we're doing. I kind of looked through a lot of different subjects that I get asked about, from housing to feeding hay to feed schedules, feed regimen, blah, blah, blah. And probably the one thing that I am asked the most has to do with lambing season. Lambing can be a very exciting time with new life on the farm, happy bouncy babies, but unfortunately sometimes nature just doesn't work like it should. And it's good to have some things on hand to make sure that you're prepared. So as happy as it can be, it can also be a little bit stressful. So hopefully I can give you some pointers to make that a little bit less stressful. Now let me start this by saying I am not a vet, not qualified to be a vet. These things that I'm going to show you are just very basics. If you've had your very first sheep on hand and you're getting ready for your very first lambing, or maybe you're still researching about getting sheep, you don't have them on hand yet, but you're just looking for information, this is where this is focused. We have learned this through the years by talking to other producers and also conversations with vets. All right, so I just wanted to clear that up. So let's get things started without any other yapping, okay? All right. So one of the very first things you need to make sure to have on hand, and I put this at first because the first couple of items are non-negotiable. These are things that you must have on hand just in case. All right. Number one is a good quality colostrum. All right. A good quality colostrum is definitely a must-have on hand, just in case you have that lamb that for whatever reason either mama is not producing colostrum or she's just a little bit late in releasing her milk for the baby, and then you do have something on backup that will provide the necessary immunities, also the necessary proteins and fats, minerals to get that lamb off to a good start until mama can come around. So we use a multi-species because we do raise sheep, goats, and cattle. You can use the multi-species for any of those. So just make sure that you have a good quality colostrum on hand. That's first, foremost, number one. Okay? Okay. Now, the next thing, of course, if you have colostrum, got to have a way for the baby to get the colostrum, all right? Absolutely. Well, that brings us to something a little special. This right here may not look like much, but this is called the Pritchard flutter valve. All right, the Pritchard flutter valve. You can look it up on Google later on and read more about it. But the important thing of this is, I don't know if you can hear that valve rattling in there, but that is one of the key components of this that helps this nipple so that it flows more like a natural milk flow from mama. Okay, so that makes it much easier for lambs to be willing to nurse on, and it also helps control the flow so that it's very natural, less chances of aspirating into the lungs and causing problems. So this, and speaking of which, it's very important also that you prepare this nipple to be used. Yeah, you have to prepare it a little bit. And here's how. Let's go to the little close-up cam over here, and I'll show you how to prepare it. Okay. Now, if you look right there, you see the little tip coming off the top, the little nipple right there, okay? The nipple off the nipple, all right? Now, it is, unfortunately, a lot of people, let me give them a pocket knife, will take their pocket knife and they'll just flat cut right across that little up piece and just whack it off, okay? Do not do that because that messes with the airflow. It keeps the flutter valve from working properly, and it's just not how you want to prepare this, okay? So what you want to do, and let's go back to the close-up cam. What you want to do is you want to split it lengthwise, okay? You want to go lengthwise, just a little ways down that nipple instead of cutting it across, okay? So that is very important that you prepare it properly. Another thing to make sure of is, let's go back to the close-up cam. You see that little air hole in the top there? Right there? Okay. Very important to make sure that when you're nursing the lamb that that air hole is facing up. Now sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a black permanent marker, I'll locate it, I'll make a little mark there, so when I'm nursing the lambs I don't have to keep looking for it and slinging milk everywhere. Well, thankfully with that valve it don't sling milk so bad. But it just that little mark there helps you to be able to locate it when you're nursing the lamb, okay? So, awesome things. Pritchard flutter valve, check them out. Now, if all you have access to is a standard baby bottle or like the little animal nursers, that's fine. If that's all you can find, then that's great. Just make sure that you have something on hand, okay? So, if you have a nipple, then of course you're going to have a bottle, and this is the wonderful thing about the Pritchard flutter valve. It fits on a standard 20-ounce water bottle. That right there, yeah. Is that not awesome? Look at there, screws right on there. So you don't have to worry so much about bottle brushes and things of that nature to get them clean, rinse them out, clean them out, set them out to dry. Just, it gets dirty, boop, and get another one. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so there you go. There's our first couple of items that are non-negotiable. Must have those on hand. So our next item is a little bit negotiable, but you might appreciate it. And that is going to be latex gloves or gloves of some kind. Latex gloves. These are kind of a plasticized glove, kind of like a, I don't know, food service glove or something like that. Actually, these came out of like a home first aid kit. So anything like that is very important to have on hand. Now, I don't remember where we got these at, because let's go back to the close-up cam. If you look real close, they have these little stipples on them, and that makes them excellent for being able to hold on to the lamb if you're having to assist in a delivery. It makes it wonderful for holding on to that lamb, because lamb, of course, is going to be slick from the birth fluids, and it makes it where you can get a hold of the lamb firmly, but not having to really gorilla grip. And so I really, really like these things. I'll have to look up again and see where we came up with these at. But plasticized glove, food service gloves. Now, unfortunately, a lot of times with like the latex gloves, you can usually only find them in big boxes, like 50 pairs, 100 pairs. Occasionally, though, you can find them online or in some stores in small packages of like 2, 3, 4, 5 pair. And those are tended kind of like these, to be used for like home first aid kits. So, gloves. That's the next thing on the list. Now, after the gloves, here's something else we need. Iodine. And you're saying, iodine? Yeah, iodine. Why do I need iodine? That's a good question. If you'll notice, a lot of times with newborns, the umbilical stays pretty long until mama gets it taken care of like it should be, or it starts to dry up. And that can cause problems. There's a bacteria that can get into that umbilical and then get into the lamb's blood flow that can cause a condition called joint ill. All right, joint ill is pretty hard sometimes to diagnose if you really don't know what you're looking for. But basically what happens is the bacteria causes problems in the lamb's joints. They get stiff, they get painful. If the lamb has painful joints and are stiff, they're not going to want to get up and nurse, and that's where the problem begins, okay? So all you have to do is take iodine. Like I said, we prefer the spray bottle All right, we prefer the spray bottle, and you just lift the lamb up, 2 or 3 sprays on the umbilical, and you're good. Now, some people prefer to use the liquid, and they'll put it in like the little Dixie cups, the little cups you used to use when you brush your teeth. Yeah, and they'll put a little bit of that in there, and they'll dip the umbilical using that. So, whichever way you prefer, that's fine. Just making sure that you treat that umbilical to prevent joint ill from setting in. That's very important. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is maybe you need to help a mama dry a lamb. Okay, lamb is here. Mama, maybe she's a new mama, and her afterbirth paralysis has kind of lasted a little bit longer than usual, and she can't really get up and deal with the lamb at the moment. So you need to assist in helping dry that lamb. Okay? Wonderful things to have on hand. Old towels work wonderful for that. T-shirts work fantastic for that. This is a pillowcase that's kind of a flannel material, and you can find these sometimes at yard sales and things like that, resale shops for next to nothing. Okay? Baby blankets. Yes, yes, that's SpongeBob. But anyway, baby blankets and, believe it or not, puppy pads. What? Yeah, puppy pads. Wonderful things. They have the absorbent inside, and it also has like the plastic coating on the outside, and they are absolutely wonderful for helping dry off a lamb, okay, until mama can take care of it. Okay, so there's another item that you'll need to have on hand or consider having on hand to help kind of make your lambing season a little bit more successful and a little bit stress-free as much as possible. Okay, so I have one more thing that I want to introduce you to, and some of you are going to go, what in the world? All right. So this right here is called a warming box. That's what it's called. That's what it is right there. It's a warming box. Say, what's that? Well, if you have a desperately cold lamb that you need to warm, then this has proven for us to be a very effective way of doing it. We learned this off of another YouTube channel, and I don't mind saying her name, Sandy Brock. She has a huge herd up in Canada, and we learned this from her, and it has been awesome. Now, it's not something that we've used 100 times, but when we needed it, it was wonderful to have. So here's what you do. You start with a plastic tote, okay? Now, in that plastic tote, in the bottom, now this is a little big because it's a big beach towel, but you get the idea. Towel, folded baby blanket, folded whatever goes into the bottom, so there's a nice layer of protection on the bottom. Then on top of that layer, believe it or not, yep, you're not mistaken, we're going to put in a heating pad. Yep, a electric heating pad. Don't switch me off now. You think I'm crazy. But so at this point, you can go ahead, plug up the heating pad, turn it on high just so it can be warming the temperature. Then on top of that, you're going to add another folded towel, blanket, baby blanket, whatever it may be. And you're putting this in there just to help separate the lamb from the heating pad so it's well protected and doesn't get too hot. Okay, so as you're getting ready to put the lamb in, of course, now you're going to bring your heating pad down to like a medium. Okay, lamb goes in here. Then you're going to take another baby blanket, folded towel, whatever it may be, and you'll cover the lamb with that, leaving the head just slightly exposed so that there's no issues in its being able to breathe. Okay, you're not suffocating it. So that goes in on top of the lamb, and then blah, blah, blah. Yes, we have yet another layer. Ooh, look at that. Now you see it, now you don't. But this goes over the top to kind of help keep that warmth in And of course, you want to provide just a little bit of vent at either end, just so there's some fresh air flowing in. Now, that seems like a lot of things and a lot of problems, but let me tell you, when you have a cold lamb, it is priceless to be able to safely, is the key word, and efficiently warm that lamb, because we made the mistakes years ago of saying, well, if we can get some colostrum in it, it'll warm up and it'll be okay. No, it does not work that way, because you should never, ever, ever feed a cold lamb. A lamb is cold. That means its muscles aren't going to work right. Its suckle reflex isn't going to work right. Its swallow reflex is not going to work right. And that's where all the problems can begin, because you wind up with the chance, a really good chance, of that lamb aspirating that fluid, that colostrum, into its lungs and causing pneumonia and lots of other issues, okay? So make sure you have on hand a way to warm a cold lamb, all right? So I'm just saying, hey, in the beginning, we were also known to fold up several layers of towels, open the oven door, lay the lamb on the oven door on top of the towels, put that thing on broil, and that works too. Now, the reason I make other suggestions, because many people right now are probably going, well, I put a heat lamp out there. I do not, in any shape, form, or fashion, like heat lamps outside, especially in the barn. Now, if you have a place in a shop, or you have a place in the garage, or in, wherever it may be that you feel comfortable using heat lamps, that is your decision. But I do not like heat lamps of any shape, size, or fashion outdoors, because I've seen too many really bad things happen. Well, guess what? We've come to the end. So let's do just a real fast recap on what we've talked about with the lambing kit supplies. Okay, we're going to back up and start from the beginning. A good quality colostrum. Make sure you have a good quality colostrum on hand. Then, of course, you're going to need a good nipple. Okay, a good nipple. This, again, is called the Pritchard flutter valve. Highly recommend them. Very highly recommend. You'll need gloves. They are not absolute 100% necessary, but they are nice to have. Spray iodine for treating the navels to prevent joint ill, or the liquid, whichever you prefer. And then items for drying lambs: towels, pillowcases, baby blankets, puppy pads. Any of those can be used for drying a lamb. And then we finished our conversation off with the warming box. All right? So I hope some of this has helped. I hope that this will give you a little confidence in your lambing season and take a little bit of the stress out of it. So I do highly recommend having these items on hand. And the best part about it, the best thing ever, is if you never have to use them. Oh, except for the iodine. You always want to make sure you use the iodine. All right. All right, so that is going to wrap up this portion. Remember, coming up, we'll have a intermediate section, and the advanced section will be following after that as you become more and more comfortable with your sheep and assisting in lambing. We'll also touch on different topics as we go through. If you've not subscribed to our channel, we'd like to ask you to do so. Check the subscription. There's a box down here in the corner, a little emblem down there you can click on that'll take you to the page where you can subscribe. Make sure to check the notifications so you're notified when we post new videos. So until then, we hope you have a wonderful, fantastic day and a blessed lambing season. Good day.